From the outside looking in, 20-year-old Nasen Saadi, who was from Croydon in South London, had all the tools necessary to succeed in life. He was a university student of Greenwich University, and his major was criminology. Where a lot of people claim to be obsessed with crime documentaries and true crime docuseries, Nasen actually was. The idea of an M had clouded his mind, his moral compass, occupied his every waking moments and thoughts. So fanatical was Nasen Saadi that he began to research methods of an M, not just the physical and laborious act of taking a life, but also advice on how to get away with it. Winchester Crown Court heard that criminology student asked his lecturers a series of weird questions about defences for an M. A lecturer retorted by asking, "Why, you're not planning on murdering someone, are you?" The question was meant as a joke. Sadly, Nasen would go on to K 34-year-old physical trainer Amie Gray at Durley Chine Beach in Bournemouth, West Undercliff Promenade on May 24th, and also attempt to K Amy's pal Leanne Miles at the same location. It was brutal, vicious and prolonged. In court, it was put to the jury that Nasen Saadi may have wanted to know what it would feel like to have the gall and fortitude to take a life, perhaps wanting to know what it felt like to wield that type of power that could only come from targeting women, imposing your authority and will over them. He wanted to make himself an almighty person, someone interesting that would never be forgotten by others. In the days before the M, Nasen Saadi conducted a number of searches on his computer that would aid with his wicked scheme. Nasen had looked up questions such as, why is it harder for a criminal to be caught if he does it in another town? What hotels do not have CCTV links in Bournemouth in the UK? And Bournemouth CCTV and Bournemouth Pier CCTV and Bournemouth Beach open all nights? And then on the 21st of May 2024, Nasen began to put his plan into motion. It was at this point that the madman had formulated a plan and convinced himself that he was going to case someone, anyone. CCTV footage showed Nasen travel from his home in Croydon to the Travelodge Hotel in Bournemouth. Once Nasen had dropped off his bag at the hotel, the university student went outside to make a mental map of Bournemouth Pier and its surrounding area. Nasen then moved on to the Silver Hotel on May 23rd. On the day of the M, Nasen had wandered around Bournemouth choosing his victims at random. That was where Nasen's eyes had latched on to Amie Gray and Leanne Miles. 34-year-old Amie Gray was engrossed in a light-hearted conversation with her friend 38-year-old Leanne Miles. The two had lit a small campfire to keep warm in the night time and were in a fairly secluded part of the beach. Nasen had spotted the woman from his position on the promenade. His target acquired, they met Nasen's standards. Engrossed, absent-minded, and most importantly, the women had not taken an interest in Nasen, whom had now crossed the promenade and crossed over onto the sand and was walking with purpose towards the two defenceless women. Nasen, who also had an obsession with blades, moved forward, stride after stride, step after step, partly concealed by his mask and the dark clothing and dimly lit light. A few minutes after 11:30 p.m. on Friday, May 24th of 2024, Nasen Saadi had viciously launched himself at Amie Gray in almost butchery action. He swiped and swished and thrust his blade, blading Amie over a dozen times. The struggle was caught on CCTV, along with her yells. As Nasen was relentless in his blading, Amie Gray had been targeted in the chest, arm and also heart. Amie was also given CPR at the scene, but her frame was cold to the touch, and when paramedics arrived on the scene, they took over the emergency care and the CPR, but the sports coach and mum injuries were too severe and she was quickly pronounced dead at the scene. Paramedics also noticed at least 10 wounds on Amie. In the aftermath, Nasen turned around to locate Leanne Miles. She was chased along the beach. Leanne was sadly caught and she too was bladed. Nasen was ruthless. He had bladed Leanne 20 times before leaving her to die. Now Leanne was rushed to hospital, her life in critical condition, touch and go, but miraculously she survived. Leanne says that she believed Amie had actually saved her life by bearing the brunt of the incident. After the M and attempted M, Nasen went back to his hotel with his M kit that included latex gloves, nail clippers, balaclava, and then went to sleep. He slept like a baby. The next day, Nasen had left Bournemouth and went back to Croydon to continue his normal life. With a job well done and a pat on the back, Nasen then spent the next few days looking up news articles to see if his crimes had made the news headlines, the main headlines. When police investigated the M of Amie Gray, Nasen quickly became a person of interest. This is because the 20-year-old had been caught on CCTV in the area at the time, and also an amateur photographer who was taking pictures of the beach has also noticed Nasen, and police quickly found out that the man had recently purchased 6 blades including a machete. One was missing and had conducted intrusive searches about Bournemouth and also Ems. Police also noted that Nasen had conducted his own searches on how police conducted investigations on murders. Police also found out that Nasen had called himself NSAK and also Ninja K online, where he often talked about Ems and also talked down on women, believing that women were weak and they shouldn't be in certain jobs. However, what frustrated the police was Nasen Saadi was methodical. There was no DNA left at this crime scene that linked Nasen to the crime, and the M weapon had not been located. Neither were the clothes Nasen had worn on the night of the M. Nasen was ultimately arrested at his aunt's house, however, and when interviewed about the M, Nasen Saadi quickly told police, "I am wrongly accused of mistaken identity." He also admitted to being in Bournemouth when confronted with CCTV and conceded that he did have an interest in unsolved crimes, but declined he had been the person responsible for the brutal M of Amie Gray and attempted M of Leanne Miles. Nasen actually says that he had no memory of the incident and he claimed he may have blacked out, but he gave no reason to why. Nasen Saadi was arrested and then remanded in Belmarsh jail. While on remand, Nasen had asked a female prison officer if he was making the headlines for his crimes. Nasen took immense gratification that people were talking about him. Now Nasen, who had no previous convictions and came from a well-to-do and successful family, he was hardwired differently. He was defected. In the court, the prosecution suggested that Nasen Saadi carried out the case because he wanted to be a notorious star in a real-life crime drama he had directed. He had written the script and made his own rules. The victims didn't matter. Nasen refused to give evidence in court, while the prosecution got CCTV experts and also the amateur photographer to categorically say that the person in the grainy CCTV footage was Nasen Saadi. Now the jury at Winchester Crown Court found Nasen Saadi guilty of the M and also attempted M. Now he is due to be sentenced in May of 2025, but of course Nasen Saadi can look forward to a life sentence. How many years minimum he will get, only time will tell. When the verdict was read out, Nasen was said to have just hung his head but kept quiet. Condolences. Stay safe. Safe.